The Utah Jazz get Cooper Flagg. Then what? It's all part of a Locked On Jazz Ask LOJ Friday edition next on Locked On Jazz.
You are Locked On Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
It is Locked On Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz. I'm David Locke. Thank you very much for tuning in. Radio voice of the Utah Jazz, Jazz NBA Insider. And as I mentioned, Locked On Jazz is your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz, giving you insight, expertise, geeky numbers, and hopefully making it way better to be a Jazz fan each and every day. Thank you so much for tuning in to Locked On Jazz, making it your first listen of the day. To the everydayers out there, you're the best. Thank you for making us who we are. We are free and available on all podcasting apps. So feel free to subscribe or follow if you like the program today. It's a Friday edition of the show, so it's an Ask LOJ edition, which means you've sent in questions. We will talk about the future of Jordan Clarkson. Who's the best team in the Western Conference? Are there any statistical trends that are changing? What's going on with John Collins and Lauri Markkanen? Why didn't someone trade for Colin Sexton? Isaiah Collier's been nominated for first-team All-Rookie, but shouldn't it have been Kyle Filipowski? Do the Jazz have a special sauce for teaching shooting? And if the Jazz get Cooper Flagg, what happens next? When we get Cooper Flagg, let's be perfectly clear. We're just manifesting positivity for the thoughts around that. By the way, today's Friday edition of Locked On Jazz is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Head to the 5hourenergy.com to find over 15 flavors to choose from. Need one now? Grab a 5 Hour Energy shot at your local grocery or convenience store. Stock up today and stay energized. For those of you on the YouTube broadcast, I have the Denver skyline behind me. It's kind of a farce. I always love to come to Denver as a Utahn, or whatever we are, Salt Laker, and take a picture out of my hotel or downtown where you can't see the mountains at all, and then send a note to like all my friends in Denver, like, beautiful city you have. The mountains are incredible. And with a picture that has no mountains in it, in contrast to our city, where you actually do really have the mountains on top of you so you can see them every day. Just a little snippy thing. So when the Jazz get Cooper Flagg, how fast will we get good? Is the first question in today's edition of Ask LOJ. I don't think immediately, nor do I think you actually want to immediately. Year one for Cooper Flagg with the Utah Jazz next year will be, as great as he seems to be, still a developmental year of learning. Kevin Durant, I think, shot 39% as a rookie. LeBron shot like 41% as a rookie. I'd have to check that. It was so long ago. But I think the message of this is even the best rookies don't usually come into a circumstance or the league and are able to impact winning right away. LeBron shot 41.7% his first year at 19 years old and 29% from three. And so I don't think when Cooper Flagg comes to the Utah Jazz after we win the lottery, we're not winning right away. Nor do I know I think if you want to. Like, the next step is you go add another piece to the then Cooper Flagg puzzle through a draft. And then you have all the caps. We have a ton of cap space after that next year. And at that point, I think you probably now try to figure out, okay, what's the right type of player to have around them? Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, who are kind of the most recent young draft picks to go on to have great success in Boston, both were drafted onto a team that had a lot of players around them. And so their roles were very different. Tatum shot 48% as a rookie. But on that team, if you also remember, he took 10 shots a game. Like, that 17-18 Boston Celtic team had Kyrie Irving, had Al Horford, already had Jaylen Brown, had Marcus Smart, had Marcus Morris, had Terry Rozier, had a lot of guys wanting to use possessions, right? So 18 shots a night going to Kyrie and then fairly equally distributed. So he was able, Cooper Flagg next year with the Jazz will probably be taking 16 to 17 shots a night as the primary offensive player. And he and Lowry try to figure it out a little bit, but I don't think it's an immediate win. I don't think, and I don't know that you want it to. I know that we're sitting here at game 75 on what has been at times a torturous year for a fan base. But honestly, once you do one of these, you actually, I think, are in for 2 or 3. And I think, to get the value, to deal with this year and get the value of this year, I think you have to be in for 2 or 3. That might be not what you want to hear, but I do believe that to be true. Do the Jazz have a special sauce of teaching players to shoot, considering what Kyle and Bryce have done this year? This is beginning to be a really interesting question. And boy, would this be maybe even more important than Cooper Flagg. So Will Hardy's background is he was in San Antonio with Chip England, who's one of the great shooting coaches in the NBA. Boston has a really good shooting coach. So Will has been around some of the best shooting coaches in the NBA. Now, we have a very small sample size, and frankly, Ochai Agbaji kind of went the other way when he was with us and has gotten better in Toronto. So, I don't want to cherry pick just positive news, but there are some trends here that are kind of interesting. So I actually would start with Johnny Juzang. Johnny Juzang was not a three-point shooter. He was a mid-range shooter, and the Jazz have kind of converted Johnny Juzang from a 24% three-point shooter his first year. That's only in 18 games. You have to kind of look at his G League stuff. To being 42 last year, and now with 5 a game, he's shooting 38%. Johnny Juzang has done the work. The coaching staff have overseen a guy that has become a good shooter. Bryce Sensabaugh last year shot 29.6% from 3, is now shooting 42% from 3, and since All-Star break is over 50% as the best three-point shooter in the NBA. Kyle Filipowski, we've talked about this a lot, but was not a particularly good three-point shooter at Duke in a collegiate level. Is not a good free throw shooter, so he doesn't necessarily line up to be a good three-point shooter. I think he went 9 of 7 of 37 or 9 of 37 at one point. The Jazz coaching staff has worked with him. He did not have a great night to start last night, but since February 1st, Kyle Filipowski three-point shooting is some of the best in the NBA. So Kyle is 46% since February 1st on 4 attempts a game. If we look at that time range and try to figure it out, that's about a span of 20 games. So I think it would probably be anybody who's taken over 50 threes in that stretch is probably the right number. Let's look it up together. If you've taken over 50 threes since February 1st, the best three-point shooter in the league is Mike Conley at 50%. Josh Giddey at 49. Kyle slides down. He's about 12th at 45%. That's fine. Kyle's taking 105. I moved that meter, by the way, up to about 80 of them, which makes you take 3 or 4 a game, and Kyle pops. Bryce Sensabaugh's number 3. Kyle's number 5. All right, so what's going on? Right? Josh Giddey's the best. Chicago, we have to give Chicago credit, too. Oklahoma City's supposed to be the coach. The shooting wizards, well, Josh Giddey just left Oklahoma City and can now shoot. But since February 1st, if you take 80 attempts, Josh Giddey's number 1, Sam Hauser's 2, Bryce Sensabaugh's 3, Kevin Durant's 4, Kyle Filipowski's 5. Maybe. And if the Jazz do have a secret sauce on shooting, that's everything. That's everything. So that'd be pretty awesome. The Jazz launched the Big Mountain Pass campaign for Isaiah Collier's all-rookie. But Locke, didn't you say this week that Kyle Filipowski is the best offensive rookie in the NBA this year? Shouldn't he be first team? It's next. as we continue on today's edition of Locked on Jazz. Today's edition of Locked on Jazz is brought to you by Murdoch Hyundai, located at 4646 South State Street, also located in Logan, and in Linden. The Hyundai car, the bells, the whistles, the safety features, all of it for the best price in the market. When I did the research, it's undeniable. That's how I ended up involved with Hyundai. Is the research was very, very clear that for what you get, the quality of car, the safety features, the bells, the whistles, all those things, there's no car that gets you better price and all the bells and whistles than the Hyundai. The Murdochs have been in Utah for over 90 years. They're giving you the no regrets experience. I've bought 2 Santa Fe's and an Ioniq from them, so I'm not making this up. It's been fabulous, and I'm on the verge of number 4. Blake, we need to talk. So if you're looking for a car right now, please email me first at dlock09@gmail.com. That's dlock09@gmail.com so that we can get you your VIP experience you deserve as a Locked On listener and get you in a Murdoch Hyundai. Today's show is also brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Keep up with all the madness with 5 Hour Energy. Visit 5hourenergy.com so you can stock up and save on 5 Hour Energy. Dragon, needing a little daylight savings snuck up on you? I have just not got enough sleep this week, to be perfectly honest. So if you're feeling like you've lost a little sleep, 5 Hour Energy has your back. Extra sunshine means more time for fun, but sometimes you need a little boost to power through it. Whether you're staying up late watching NCAA tournament, squeezing in a round of golf after work, just trying to keep up with a busy day, 5 Hour Energy gives you that quick, refreshing pick-me-up whenever you need. Basketball madness has you fatigued, extra work has you burned out. Whatever it is, 5 Hour Energy is easy to grab and keeps you feeling refreshed. Head to 5hourenergy.com. Find out all 15 flavors to choose from, including watermelon, blue raspberry, peach mango. You can build your own 12-pack or 24-pack delivered right to your door. Need one now? Grab a 5 Hour Energy shot at your local grocery store or convenience store. They're everywhere. Stock up today and stay energized. Go to 5hourenergy.com so you can stock up and save. Thanks so much for making Locked On Jazz your first listen of the day. We are free and available on all podcasting apps as well as YouTube, so thanks so much. We have the daily newsletter for you as well. Mike Schreier wrote a great piece yesterday about the Houston Rockets and all of what they are doing, and they're double big in their zone. We just didn't get to see it because Steven Adams was out, but you can get that on the national articles from Katie Heindel and Mike Schreier every day, and the fantasy basketball from Josh Lloyd. All right, let's continue on the Friday edition. Should Kyle Filipowski be up for rookie first team like Isaiah Collier? Yeah. So even though Filipowski was late to the game this year, like that his time has come later, I think he's arguably the best offensive rookie in the NBA. So Stephen Castle will get credit for this for just scoring the most points, which is kind of an inane way to look at something. But Castle is effective field goal percentage this year is 47.6. Alex Sarr scores the next most amount of points at 13-point game. His effective field goal percentage is 47. Those are both so bad. League average is 54. Zachary Richauche, who was the first pick of the draft, in 25 minutes a night in 66 games, is scoring 12 points a game. He's actually a little better. He's 45% from the field. He's 35% from three. It's actually pretty good. It's actually pretty encouraging for a rookie. Okay. But Alex Sarr's played 58 games. Richauche's played 60. Kyle's played 64 games. So let's eliminate the Kyle's late to the party argument. Okay? Kyle's playing 20 minutes a game. Sarr's playing 27. Castle's playing 26. Richauche's playing 25. Bub Carrington's leading at 29. No one's playing 30. Kyle's averaging 9.6 rebounds and 2 assists. It's not sexy. His effective field goal percentage is 60%. His field goal percentage is 52, and his three-point shooting is 39. So let's start with three-point shooting. The best three-point shooter in the class who's played at least 40 games is Kyle Filipowski. The best three-point shooter in the rookie class that has played 40 games at least is Kyle Filipowski. The best three-point shooter that takes at least 2.5 a game is Quentin Post, and Kyle Filipowski's second. Okay. So that's the first thing. Effective field goal percentage. The best effective field goal percentage of any offensive player in the rookie class who's played at least 20 minutes a game, and Kyle's right at 20, so that's cutting it tight, is Kyle Filipowski. Quentin Post has played only 34 games, plays 17 minutes a night. He's at 60.6. Edin Bona plays 13 minutes a night. He's played 49 games. He shoots 68% effective field goal percentage. So he doesn't actually shoot. Like, he takes 2 shots a game. So Kyle is the best three-point shooter, the best effective field goal percentage shooter, overall field goal percentage of guys that play 20 minutes a night. Zach Edey's number 1. Khalil Ware's number 2. Kyle's number 3. I get it. When you start doing ranks of points per game, it starts to Kyle's 10th in points per game, 6th in rebounding, and 11th in assists. Pretty impressive. So, yes, I think you can make a strong argument that Kyle Filipowski is the best offensive rookie in this NBA draft of this class. Pretty amazing for the 32nd pick. Jazz really, on a terrible draft class, hit well on 29 and 32. We'll see what happens with their 10th pick. Right now, again, trying to be fair, right now, the hottest player in the draft class is the 11th pick of the draft. Matthias Buzelis is playing great. Matthias Buzelis is playing great. He is the 11th pick. Right now, at this day, it's trending like, might have missed on that. But boy, 29 and 32, impressive. And also, let's see how long that trends, right? That's a small sample size. But getting time and playing great. Got to notice, and super athletic in 6'10". I wouldn't have drafted him, I'll be perfectly honest. But that's how it's looking right now. Why didn't someone trade for Colin Sexton at the trade deadline? Seems like he could really help someone in the playoffs. I kind of agree with you. Okay, so it could be any of 3 scenarios. One is we didn't want to give him up. Considering where we are, that seems like the least likely of the scenarios, that if we had a decent offer, we probably would have done something. Excuse me. The second scenario is that teams don't see him as values too small. He's not a great defensive player. He doesn't play with teammates great. Like all the things that were labeled on Colin before he got to Utah, which I just don't feel are entirely true, are still labeled and stamped onto him, and therefore teams don't touch it. I mean, there are portions of games where, and it's hard to tell right now, he's the only guy on the floor can score, so I think right now is not a very fair time to evaluate Colin, but there are times when it's like, whoa, dude, just mellow it out. The third one is that trades are complicated, and for someone to trade for Colin Sexton, one, the Jazz might have wanted a first-round pick, and nobody wanted to do that, because there weren't a lot of first-round picks that were moved. The other one would be that because the teams that where Colin Sexton could help, and I do look down the list and think he could help a lot of the teams, they would have had to give up. They're either clear near one of the aprons, and so they would have had to give up likely the same amount of money. And while Colin doesn't make a lot, 18.4, there is, like, they would have had to send 18.4 back to the Jazz. So it would have to be 18.4 the Jazz are willing to take, and if any of those are long-term and you're getting Colin, the Jazz are going to want a first-round pick. So it just might have not been that there were 2 to tango as much as anything. But I agree with you. I think that Colin Sexton seems like the one-on-one skills, the ability to shoot, just the bona fide bucket getter. Playoffs, when it all bogs down, it gets to everyone switching, it gets to one-on-one, it gets small. Yes, now he's got to play the other end of the floor. Has Jordan Clarkson played his final game for the Utah Jazz, and has John Collins and Lauri Markkanen played their final games of the year for the Utah Jazz? Questions rolling in on an Ask LOJ edition. It's next on Locked on Jazz. Thanks so much for making Locked on Jazz your first listen of the day. We'll play Denver tonight. Then we head to a big one against Charlotte. If you didn't miss it, Washington won a game this week. That's good for us. The standings, the reverse standings right now. Well, we are 16 and 58. Washington's, we look at the win column in reverse standings. And in the other standings, you look at the loss column. And this, you look at the win column. The Jazz, it feels to me, have assured themselves the highest odds for Cooper Flag that you can get, 14%. I just think it's unlikely we're going to win another 4 games and catch the New Orleans Pelicans, who are now at 20 wins on the season. So, Will Hardy, Coach of the Year, Jazz front office, execution, perfection. The Jazz will have 14% chance at a number 1 pick. They'll have a 52% chance at a top 4 pick. They have executed that. And now the next question is if you can slide as many 4 spots, where you finish 1, 2, and 3 actually matters because the odds actually say you'll slide down a few spots. Right now, we're at 16 wins. Washington's at 16, and Charlotte is at 18. So will we win 2 more games and Charlotte not win another game? They've lost 3 in a row, but they have also won 4 of 10. That's really the question, and what will happen with Washington. So reverse standings kind of are playing out as intended. Have Jordan Clarkson played his final game for the Utah Jazz? I don't think so. 2 reasons. One, so Jordan's got another year on his contract at $14 million, which is just a really mellow number. 2, there have been about 7 straight trade windows by which the Jazz could have, if they wanted to, I don't know if they wanted to, but they could have traded Jordan Clarkson. And in none of those 7 windows has anyone put anything on the table that the Jazz deemed worthy of trading Jordan Clarkson. Jordan's a great teammate. Good to be around. Good for the youngsters. All positives around Jordan. So there's no urgency to be like, oh, well, we just got to get rid of him. Get him out of here. He's bad. There's none of that. So considering that, and considering the fact that there hasn't been a great demand for him, I don't think that Jordan's played his last game. I'd expect Jordan to be on the roster next year. And then the other one is, depending how this plays out, John Collins has a player option, so he could opt out. So let's assume for a second he doesn't. The Jazz have $26 million in Collins expiring, $20 million in Sexton expiring, Clarkson at 14 expiring. If they keep KJ Martin, that's 8 expiring there. They have a huge collection of expiring contracts after the 25-26 season and can really begin to rebuild this roster as they wish with Cooper Flag and whoever else we get. So I don't think Jordan's played his last game with us. I think the fact that his contract expires in a year is just as valuable as anything else. Have the Jazz shut down John Collins and Lauri Markkanen for the year? No, I don't think so. John Collins sprained an ankle, 100% legit, working his way back. Maybe soon. It's kind of I know I've seen him on the court doing stuff. Lauri had legitimate personal reasons. I mean, I'm not going to reveal what was going on, but that was totally legit. So because that was going on, went 4 or 5 days without doing anything. So now you're getting him back to conditioning. We're not practicing a great deal right now. So getting him back to conditioning is not the easiest thing. Stars were in the playoffs. You're not going to send him down to practice with the Stars. So there aren't a lot of vehicles. So that's going to take a little time. So no. Why is the off-the-bounce three-point shot such an important shot? Great question. So it really is in the playoffs. It becomes one of the most important things. One, because as we learned, if you're playing drop big with a big like Rudy Gobert and you come off a pick, that's the shot that's available to you. Okay, so that's the first one. So if anyone's dropping down, trying to protect the line, that's the one that's the most valuable to you. Or the second reason is if you're switching, particularly if it's a step back, you force them to switch aggressively. So Anthony Edwards takes the most at 7.5 a game. It makes 39%. The percentage on these shots are not high. Harden takes the next at 7 at 34. Then Tatum was 7 at 34. Trae Young at 7 with 34 at 34%. Luka takes 7 at 35%. LaMelo Ball, Tyrese Maxey from a playoff standpoint. Then Steph comes in at 6 a game at 37%. Tyrese Halliburton takes 6 a game at 37%. Dame Lillard, who unfortunately will not be in the playoffs, then checks in. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's now taking 4.6 at 34.5. That's going to be, to me, the real story of the playoffs is whether or not Shai can get that off-the-bounce three. If you don't have the off-the-bounce three and you have to have a catch-and-shoot three, then the only way you're creating threes is penetration into the lane, kicking out on rotation. Now, the best three-point shooting takes place on catch and shoot. So you would ideally rather have a catch and shoot than an off the bounce three. But the teams that take the most off and bounce threes are going to be Boston, Minnesota, Cleveland. It's pretty important. The best shooting teams are Minnesota, Cleveland, Chicago because of Zach LaVine. Denver, they don't take very many, though. Miami because of Tyler Hero. Milwaukee and Steph. But those single individuals are the ones, right? Like Golden State takes 11 a night, but 7 of them are coming from Steph. Who's the second best team in the Western Conference? I have no idea. It's kind of my running thing. I still think Minnesota plays Oklahoma City in the Western Conference Finals. We're hoping that not to be true. We would really love nothing more than a Minnesota collapse here. Playoffs started today. Minnesota is in the 8th spot, going on the road to play Golden State and could lose the first play-in game. And then I don't know if Dallas or Sacramento is capable of beating Minnesota on one night, but it'd be pretty awesome if they could. Dallas is back in the playoff picture. Phoenix, after their 30-point loss the other night, is back out. I feel like Phoenix is the team that could beat Minnesota for a night. Mid-range jumpers, Rudy not having an impact. Somebody guards Anthony Edwards for a night. I'm undersold on Sacramento right now. But yes, we are rooting. Minnesota's only a half game out of 6. I suspect Minnesota's going to get to 6. Play Denver in the first round, beat them. Play Houston or whoever the 7th team is, Clippers in the second round, beat them, and then play Oklahoma City and lose. Minnesota, Oklahoma City would be Adam Silver's TV nightmare. Are there any new stat trends, or has it all been discovered? I do think there's one thing going on here. It's a longer conversation for another show. But I think, I have not dove into this yet, but I think that the standard deviation of shooting percentage amongst teams has thinned out, making the other 4 factors more important. So, for example, you used to be able to turn the ball over and be good offensively. That's not true anymore. The top 7 off teams that don't turn the ball over are now all top 12 offensive teams. You used to be able to, not offensive rebound at all and still be good offensively. Of the top 5 worst offensive rebounding teams, there are 2 teams, Indiana and Phoenix, that are in the top 10. There are 2 teams that are in the bottom 10, and there's 1 team in the middle. But if you stretch it out at all to the 10 teams in the NBA that don't offensive rebound, you only end up with 2 top 10 offenses. I used to think you could build an offense in which, you didn't go to the free throw line, but that doesn't seem to be true anymore. So I think there's something that's changed around the fringes because everyone's consolidated a bit. Don't know if that's true. That's just my theory. That is Locked On Jazz for today. Thanks so much for tuning in. Appreciate it. Sorry, I did not have water with me today, so that was a little rough there for a few minutes. If you have not followed me on socials, please do at DLock09. If you've not signed up for the daily newsletter, please do it. LockedOnDaily.com and get Locked On Jazz in your inbox each and every day. And last and finally, if you have not followed or subscribed to this program, please do. On video, we now send you to the first ever national 24/7 channel, Locked On NBA. And on audio, check out Locked On NBA Game Night, every game, every night.